Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Behind Marketing Lines. I would ask you to subscribe to it, but I know you're only listening to this because we have a very special guest today. And I think from the thumbnail, you have already seen who he is, but I would still want to introduce him. I have here with me Junaid Khan, a marketing champion, because this is all about marketing, and it's perceived that whosoever I'm bringing here is from marketing. Yes, he is, and but the twist is he transitioned to sales. So first of all, thank you very much, Junaid, for coming to the show. It's a pleasure and honor to have you here.
Zishan, thank you so much for the invite. I'm super excited to be here, and all the best for your efforts. I really hope that this would be beneficial for your audience and people, especially who are looking to build their career in marketing or see marketing as a core of their job. I think so that would benefit a lot to them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I'll actually, in the interest of time, head straight to the questions.
Sure. Please,
I would love to know a lot more than these questions about your career journey and the other leisure journeys that you make. But you transitioned from marketing to sales, and we see that both are perceived as different, although they are not. So I would love to explore that. Why a transition and how?
Okay, so interesting question. For me, with like 20 plus years of corporate experience in multinationals, in the local, and especially in the government organizations also, for me, I think so the two departments who really worked in a very unified manner, in a very defined objective, are marketing and sales. So it is not actually a two different functions. Yes, if you dissect them on a day-to-day job description, yes, then maybe there are two different things, and there are people who do marketing and they are responsible of certain actions they take on a daily basis, certain data they read on a daily basis, and they define certain strategies, and then there are people who actually are responsible of selling in the product. But because both of them work for a joint objective, I think so they are not really, they does not fall out of the whole cycle. And about me, when you ask me that my transition, so I started, of course, in purely in marketing, and I think so that's a natural way that when you have this DNA of reaching out customers, understanding them, and trying to be the part of creating a buzz of your products and services. That's how I started my career in marketing. But with the passage of time, I realized that this marketing cycle only completes when you really sell it.
That is true.
If you market it but you don't sell it, then it's not a good thing. And if you're selling but you're not properly marketing it, there is something missing. So I think so that is just my accomplishment of my career, that and that's how I define it. Yeah, people, they stay in marketing and they become champion into it. I respect them completely, and that's a very technical thing. But I felt that at a certain point of time, if I want to really experience the whole cycle of a sales or distribution, or let's call it a business development, then once marketing is done, come into a sales part of it, so that you experience the real first-hand experience from customers.
No, I think it's very interesting, because when you were in marketing, I mean, you were where I am today, I think a decade ago, right? You were heading marketing for an insurance company here. And then you transitioned into traditional sales. I mean, like going out, meeting people,
Exactly.
Bringing in business, corporate business, bank assurance, we name it, and you have done it actually. If I look at the marketers today, they are being pushed into sales because, okay, there is a lot of digital sales happening, and we have to learn all those, ways of bringing in leads and then converting them online, and then, working hand in hand with the direct sales team. But again, in the companies, especially where there is a strong differentiation between marketing and sales, I see a tug of war happening between both departments, and I've seen it almost everywhere. Every marketer I speak to has this issue, right? You actually painted a very perfect picture answering the last question, but I need to spice things up, right? So that people come and listen to it and say, yeah, Junaid said it in that podcast. And, that's the
Yes.
sales perspective. But I think what you're saying is right. Both marketing and sales are supposed to go hand in hand. But I've seen a tug of war happening a lot of companies.
See, I do agree with you 100%, and I don't know for what one reason or another, this has not been really addressed in a manner it should have been addressed in any organization. So as I said earlier, both teams are working for a unified objective, for a goal which they do both have to achieve. So you can never have a marketer who who will not feel the pinch if the numbers are going down.
100%.
Okay. Similarly, you will never have a salesperson who will not will be happy to present his product when his product is not well known to a customer.
True.
So that's where the awareness part of it, which the marketing team has to create. So it goes hands in hand. It is impossible to. But what happens, just to address that spice part of it,
Right.
is a communication. Is a communication.
Right.
The communication between the two departments, when actually it becomes distant, and marketing team starts working on short to long term projects where they believe that they will result into some really good awareness and consumer education and making a buzz of the product or service, but the sales team is not aware of that short and long term objectives. Then most of the time sales have a complaint that I have a requirement today. I need something today from my marketing team. Okay, I don't know what they're doing. This is a very normal thing.
That is correct, right? And that's the tug of war I was referring to.
Salespeople will
right?
always come and say
they want it yesterday.
They don't know. They don't know at all what my customer is asking for. My marketing team doesn't know at all. That's a very normal thing.
Yeah.
And the
Now we are
marketing
coming to that.
and the marketing team, they usually say that these guys, these sales guys, they don't value what we are doing, and what we are doing is actually beyond their understanding. So that's where the balance does not works out because of lack of communication. In my previous role, in my existing role, I always say that it is extremely important that even there are two big units of marketing and sales, and they are really operating into a big platforms, and they are working separately, but they need to communicate.
100%.
And
Thank you
if
for
you
saying
ask
that.
me, the onus is on marketers. Okay, because if they have to create, they are the champions of communication, not the salespeople. They are completely different. They are on the street. They are talking to customers. They are busy doing something really different. Okay, so they don't have that time to drag you and ask you what you're doing. You have to push your task. You have to push your objectives to them so that they understand what you guys are busy in.
100%. And I think the lesson for marketers here listening to this podcast is that, okay, you're communicating outside the organization, but you need to communicate inside the organization as well, so that the sales team is aware of what you're doing, so that the finance is aware of what you're doing, where you're spending their money, and the senior management is aware of what's happening outside, right? Tell them the reach, tell them the engagement, tell them the leads you have brought in, tell them what's the dollar value behind those leads. Look at the conversion rates, see how many leads have been converted. And I think you have put it really well. Which brings me to, I think you have already answered the question, like what would be a unified strategy, I think. And then unified strategy is again the same that tell them what you're doing.
But I have an interesting answer to that one.
Okay.
So sometimes people say that what is a strategy? I said, okay, the best way to address this, put both your marketing team and a sales team in front of an unhappy customer.
Okay.
That's simple.
Interesting. Right.
Just put it. Because see, strategies who actually comes out from a customer experience are the
100%.
best strategies. You cannot avoid them because you know what exactly you're going to build on, because you're hearing from a customer in itself. So if you really want to create a strategy which takes care of these gaps in these communications and these issues, and you want both teams to look really into a same goal and objective together and with the same speed, then just put them in front of an unhappy customer and they will come back to you with a very clear defined strategy.
That is correct. I think, and then in one of the previous episodes, we spoke about customer experience and how marketing actually should be co-creating it with all the departments, sales, HR, finance, customer service, after sales, whatever. And I think this is a good strategy. Put both of them in front of an unhappy
A happy
customer,
customer.
and they'll figure
Yeah.
it out
We'll
what to
figure it out.
do. You have traveled a lot. I mean, I follow you on Instagram, and you're everywhere, from Europe to Central Asia to Asia Pacific. How does that influence your professional career, the travel bit?
Okay. So two parts of your question. First of all, yes, thank you so much. Travel is something which is very close to my heart. I really love traveling and quite blessed that I have been to different continents. Okay. And not, of course, not as many countries, but I have a flavor of almost all continents. So it's a very beautiful and enriching experience when you travel. And how do I find time about it? For me, I would suggest everyone traveling needs planning.
100%.
You cannot travel spontaneously. You cannot just wake up one fine morning and you say, okay, I'm going to Tashkent. It cannot happen.
Okay.
I'm telling you, it will not have, never happen.
Right.
Or it will happen at certain cost. Okay.
True.
Traveling cost would be higher. Everything would be very expensive. And you might miss out something which you have planned earlier. Okay. Not registered it, but you planned
Right.
it. So traveling needs a planning, and that's what I apply always. That I, when I decide to travel, every year I have a plan that okay, these are the certain time periods where I have lesser engagement in family, lesser engagement at the work side, and all. And I put these areas as a tentative dates that okay, this is where I should be traveling and looking into the number of days I accordingly plan the destination. So that's a simple part of it. Now coming that how traveling has influenced, honestly speaking, had influenced me massively.
Right.
And for me, what I have every time when I come back from a traveling, I I feel two things. One is this: I always feel more humble. I feel like the element of accepting different cultures, different traditions, different norms is extremely important in a society like we are living today. Okay,
100%.
so
Agreed.
the temperament, the patience is extremely important. You need to be respectable to all cultures and religions and their norms of the society. This is one thing. So you come back, you really feel humble. I at least feel quite humble about it. So the second thing which I really have learned is, and I have learned it via cultural shocks. So
Okay.
when you travel, you see a completely different culture, as I said earlier also. Okay. So when you create acceptance of it, also you get an opportunity to understand that why this is like this, why in my society it doesn't happen like this, why in their society it's happening like this.
Right.
So this really helps me a lot in terms of being humble and being inquisitive, that okay, to understand why they are doing it. And surprisingly, I have reached to a in a lot of cases I have reached to a point that they are doing some for some very good reason, which I would never do in my society, in my culture, because it's not required over there.
Makes sense.
The society, the circumstances does not require me to do that particular action, festival, ceremony, an activity. It's not required, but they are doing it for some good reasons. So these are the two things which I would say.
Right. And I mean, usually I haven't traveled as much as you have, but to some of the countries I went, as a marketer, it helps me look at things differently. I mean, from the billboards to the signboards and the communications that I see, the communications that I hear traveling in the metro or buses or radio. So I believe a lot of ideas also come to your mind, right? And now that you have transitioned from marketing, but still, I see that you have your skin in the game. I had the pleasure of working with you, and the kind of ideas coming from your end about marketing are great. And do you think they have been influenced by your travels?
Um, yeah, it's a mix of it. Yes, I would say that traveling do influence you a lot. Okay, and it gives you a completely different and fresh look to things. Okay, and I think so. One of the takeaways of traveling, and when it comes to a professional work, especially, is that I usually see that there are always a simpler way of doing things.
Right.
Okay. So maybe we are doing something with a lot of resources, a lot of energy, a lot of time. And the same action or activity or a task is done somewhere else in a very simple reason. If you ask why, the answer is because they don't have those resources.
Makes sense.
So they find out a solution. Sometime lack of resource or lack of opportunities creates a lot of innovation. Okay. And then you learn that, okay, this thing which I'm doing it at a serious cost, I can do it in a very simple manner.
That is correct. So if we were to look at your life journey and your career journey as a book, what would be the title? What would you name it? If you were looking into writing an
Say,
autobiography,
yeah.
what would be the title of that book?
So I would, before answering this, I would put a disclaimer that whatever I'm answering you today, it can change tomorrow morning.
Okay.
So
Right.
that's where I
Okay.
put
So
this
the
disclaimer.
autobiography has 3 titles, and one of them is what
One of them
Junaid is
is what
telling
I'm going to
today.
tell you today. But so see, I usually do not disconnect my professional life with my personal life. So I believe
Okay.
that in the end we are dealing with people, either it's in personal life or professional life. So I would say that the title I would go with is like "Be Good to Everyone."
Oh,
I'm
nice.
not claiming by any means. I'm not claiming that I've reached to that point. I'm just saying that I'm striving towards it. So I feel like that I keep this as a motto of my life, that let's just be good to everyone. And I'll just endorse this or complement this phrase with one very beautiful ayah from Quran, from the Holy Quran, and it is from Surah Rahman, and it says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Hal jazaa'ul ihsan illa al-ihsan.
Right.
There can be nothing else as a reward of a goodness but a goodness.
Wow,
Okay.
that's beautiful.
So I believe if you are good, if you stay good to people, if you stay good to your colleagues, it will come back to you as goodness and nothing else. Okay. So that's I can say it's a very small, simple motto I keep always in my consideration, and I feel like this should be promoted a lot. People should consider this.
Right. It's beautiful, and I'm actually looking forward to reading this autobiography one day as well. And
I
I
hope
would
the
like
title
people
remains same.
and I would like people in his team to come and comment on how much he is practicing this.
Yeah,
But
most welcome.
all right, so life is full of twists, right? And sometimes unexpected things happen. Was there anything that shifted how things were moving in your personal or professional career? Or was a shift from marketing to sales because of something unexpected, or no, it was a choice that you made?
Okay, so in my perspective, actually, I would have been very lucky that I didn't face much twist in my life.
Right.
So most of my decisions, either which were related to my education, my career, my passion, came with the proper planning.
Right.
Okay, so I had that luxury of planning and deciding, and then moving forward in any part of phase of my life. So to be honest, I'd never felt that type of a twist, which actually makes you a completely different person the very next day. So I feel like I have gradually moved into every direction. So, but I would add just a part of it that where I felt very new on a fresh perspective of life was that moving from a local role to a global role.
Right.
Okay, that was something which I would say it was not a twist. It happened gradually, and because my learning was gradual over there in a global role. But that is something which I would say that yes has given me a complete fresh outlook of my life, of my professional career, of understanding customers, understanding in the market.
Right. And if you could go back in time and give your younger self an advice, what would you tell your younger self? Choose marketing or choose sales or choose any other career?
No, I see. I would say that marketing. Start your career with marketing.
Oh, right.
That's something I would strongly recommend. I would not like to put someone into a sales where he has not gone through understanding his customers. It's
Right.
extremely important because any organization's success depends on his on their sales team. And if the sales team is a qualified, learned sales team, they understand their products, they understand the USPs, they understand the requirements which these products or services they address, then only they become a successful salespeople. Okay, in a long term again. And so for me, I would request people that if you really are looking forward to come into an organization and play a role in terms of business development, let's take it a larger
Right.
frame of business development, then you start your career from a marketing department.
Okay.
You understand your products and services. And for me, if I want to really go and look at 10 years back and advise myself something or push myself for something, I would go for the I would really push myself hard into learning a modern technology, very specifically a technology which enables me to get the right and relevant data or a
Right.
meaningful data. Okay. So I think so that's the area which people, when they're starting their career in marketing now, should really focus on. That technology nowadays is helping a lot in terms of lot of information about your customers' behavior, their their choices. So you should be able to get that data and a meaningful data so that you can drive a more sensible and more realistic solution for your customers.
Perfect. I think it makes sense. And the take home for me from this discussion is that understanding your customer is really important. And
Extremely important.
then doing a right market research to understand their behaviors, to understand what they're looking for, and to understand how you're going to talk to them. Where are they existing at the moment, right? Because you have to be where your customer is. And if you don't know that, then
Exactly.
however budgets you have, how much you're willing to spend, you won't be able to reach them because you're actually not reaching where they are at the moment, right? I think it makes sense. Which brings me to my next question. You have worn multiple hats in your career. How do you manage to stay adaptable while keeping your core values intact?
A very simple answer to this
Right,
very important question. Uh, I kept my customer, organization's customer, as a focal of everything.
right,
If you keep your customer as a center of everything which you're doing in an organization, by the way, it's not
right,
only limited to marketing and sales. If you keep customer in the center of it, everything will start working together in the favor of that customer, and that's what the organization want. They want more customers.
true,
Every company want more customers
100%.
for their business. So that's where I think so. I first of all, that's why I didn't felt much of a change before moving to marketing and sales, because even over there I was trying to understand customers, and when it came to sales, I'm talking to customers.
Right.
Okay, so it's a bit of a more closer look at a customer, but with more learned manner. And adaptability is extremely important. Adaptability is extremely important, and for any professional person, if he is transiting from one role to another role, we need to
Right.
adapt.
So I think the take home for me from this is that we need to put customer at the heart of everything we do.
Yes.
Right. The customer should be the focal point. The customer should be the main thing. His or her needs, wants, and demands are what we should be looking forward to. All right. So sales and marketing are perceived to have two different mindsets, right? One is supposed to be more analytical, the other one is supposed to be more creative. How do you balance that as a guru in both fields?
So first of all, I really appreciate this question because it carry the attributes of both both
That's what I'm
units.
looking forward to
Yeah,
hear from
yeah.
you.
So the attribute of a marketer is analytical. It's extremely important. The marketers nowadays, they really have this luxury of getting a lot of data, okay, with some very strong and meaningful sources, and they can learn these data, can translate these data into trends, behaviors, choices. Okay, and this is where the word you have used, I really appreciate that. That's really analytical. And when it comes to salespeople, yes, they have to find out new solutions. They have to really every day they have to wear a completely new suit to sell. So that when
True.
I say suit, it's actually not really
Yeah,
suit,
I
but
understand.
it's they have to wear it a completely different and mindset. They have to go, because every customer is different in terms of their reaction, in terms of their questions, in terms of their requirements, or in terms of their understanding of their requirement also. So for me, I think so. It was, again, as I told you earlier, also, it has been a bit of a luxury that when I moved from a marketing department to sales, and it's by choice, I I was able to move into a leadership role. So when you move into a leadership role, then you are not only focused to one box of a customer cycle, which is sales. You actually look into a complete box, which is the marketing, sales, and service. Okay. So I had this privilege of looking into both things when I moved into sales as role. And that, I think so, has helped me a lot because I was moving from marketing. And again, I come back to my point that I would strongly recommend everybody who looks to look forward to developing his career in marketing or business development should start from marketing. So for me, it happened in a natural course. I started my career in a marketing department, then it moved into a sales, but again into a leadership role. So it was always the scope of marketing was under my purview. So
Right.
I have to look into marketing. I have to contribute to the marketing strategies.
I think one really important factor that you have brought in and was missing from my earlier questions was, okay, there is no tug of war between marketing and sales. There is a tug of war between marketing, sales, and service department. And we don't have someone to speak for service, but I think they are married to each other and they all need to go hand in hand because at the end of the day, marketing can overpromise, sales can overpromise, but service has to deliver, right? And similarly, if service is unable to deliver, then the customer is not going to come back on renewals. So sales is in trouble, right? If this customer service or if service is not delivering, then the customer is coming back and hurting your Google reviews, your social media pages. You see a lot of people. I mean, I've seen examples, and one example I would like to give from Pakistan, the national telecommunication service provider. You go onto their social media, and you would, anytime they post, you would see that there are 1,000 people responding to that, and everybody is saying, "My internet is bad, my phone is not working. When are you putting optical fiber in my area?" So on and so forth. So people went out, right? And social media and digital technologies, they have given people medium to speak. It's not a one-way communication anymore that, okay, you would go out and say, "Hey, I have developed a product, here it is, you should buy it." Now they come back and tell you it's a wrong product, you're selling it to the wrong audience. Why am I seeing this ad? I've actually seen a lot of ads on social media where people are commenting, "Why am I seeing this ad? I'm not your target audience." So people understand now more than ever how this works. They can choose between seeing what type of ads they want. I mean, anytime you subscribe to a service, they ask you, "Okay, what's your ads preference?" Right? So every day there is a lot more being given into the hands of customers to respond back to the companies, right? And another channel is being opened. But yeah, I think service bit is really important, and I would like to touch that in one of the later episodes with somebody from the service field. And I think I'll bring you back for a podcast where we have representation for marketing, sales, and service.
Yeah, then there will be an interesting tug of war. You'll see a real tug of war. See, that's why I
Right.
mentioned it intentionally that a success of a marketer, a success of a salesman, and sales is actually massively dependent on the complete customer journey. And the customer journey only gets finished once the customer is satisfied.
True.
And the satisfaction does not happen the day customer buy a product from you. Either it's a product or a service or a promise, whatever you're selling, it doesn't
True.
matter. But the satisfaction only starts when the utilization of that service happen. So the industry I represent, when the claim happen, then only the real customer satisfaction and feedback comes into the picture.
True.
Okay. So it is extremely important. Yeah, it's a very good idea for you to cover the service element also. And I think so nowadays, even the service people, they are the brand ambassadors of their
They
organizations.
100% are. Yes.
Organization. I have seen customers returning back to an organization and buying as a repeat customer, buying products again from the same organization because they had a good service experience,
Wow.
because they were happy with the guy who was settling their claim. Again, just telling you from my industry perspective that they were happy that the claim was settled on time. Even if the claim was not settled, but there was a very good communication by a service team telling a customer why the claim is not payable. And they understand that. So That's where the service people, I always say that every customer service staff sitting in front of a customer in your customer service area, in your reception area, anywhere, they are more of a brand ambassador than just a customer service staff, because the opportunity they get to influence a customer, even a marketer and salespeople, they don't we don't get it.
That is correct because they have the genuine feedback, right?
Yeah.
They're actually talking to the person who's in trouble because
Exactly.
usually, especially in the industries we work for,
Yeah.
the customer is only talking to you when they have a problem, right? Either they're sick or they had an accident or their luggage was missing or something like that. Perfect. So, in the interest of time, I think we need to wrap this up as well. But before we wrap this up, I have a really important question. In this world, when everyone is trying to sell something, be it a product, service, promise, or experience, how do we build lasting relationships?
Build relationships.
Okay,
So that's where the answer lies
right.
in your question in itself.
So we need to build and then add up to
Exactly,
it.
exactly. See,
Okay,
I think so. That's very important for us to understand that you cannot sell it. And again, when I say sell, in my experience now and with where I am in my career, I'm talking about a repeat sales.
right,
Okay, I'm not just talking about selling one time and just leaving the customer. No, I'm talking about a repeat sales, persistency,
right,
selling it again and again to the same customer. Of course, different products have different things which he's in need of with the change in his lifestyle. So we have to start from a relationship building. We have to build a relationship, and if you build a strong foundation of a relationship and then you start selling, then this sale, this transaction would be more successful, would be more persistent, and would be more profitable to both parties. It would not only drive a commercial profit to your organization because now you are selling him and then you're cross selling him multiple other products, but at the same time the customer would also be getting the true value of the product from you, because he's getting the best of an advice from the sales guy.
And I think this is applicable to both B2B and B2C and B2B2C as well,
Exactly. All
right?
channels, all channels.
Right,
Even when it comes to a digital platform, I say yes, in a digital platform, the customers are actually not talking to someone. Okay, they are going through a journey, a digital journey where they do not speak. But then the organizations who create a lot of transparency on the charges, on the cost of the product, and on the user manuals and anything. Again, I'm
right.
just covering all industries. So the organizations who create more transparency, the organizations who give you more information about the product, actually sell more in compared to the organization who just create a simple journey but less information.
I agree to that. And one point I would like to add is that now the customer is talking to someone there, and that is an LLM based chatbot, right? Who's hallucinating most of the times.
Yeah.
And that's a topic for a later discussion
Yeah.
as well. But I think now we're putting the chatbots out there, we're letting people communicate with them and get answers which might not be relevant sometimes. But I think technology is evolving and a lot of great things are happening. AI is supporting. Final question. Any piece of advice to anyone who wants to become Junaid Khan, who wants to sit where you are sitting today, 20 years from now? Where do they start? What should they do? What should they eat?
No, I think so. The eating part would not go well with everyone. So,
Right.
so see, I would say that there is a very important thing which, and I will not use any really big marketing jargons or any
Right.
very difficult words to answer this, but I would say be brave.
Right.
Be brave in your decisions. Okay, if you are brave in your decisions, then things gets opened up for you. Okay,
Right.
you tend to take risk. Okay, a calculated risk, not a very wild risk, but a calculated risk. But you need to take risk. So only those people will take risk who actually are taking brave decisions.
Right.
Okay, my transition from marketing to sales, I always say a marketer, only if you're limiting yourself only to marketing, you only see the rejection in numbers, in a summary, in a report. But a sales guy feels a rejection on his face. He
Right.
actually hears, no, I don't want to buy your product. No, I don't want to have this service.
Right.
No, I don't like you.
Oh, okay.
Okay, imagine.
Right.
And this is the reality. This is the reality of life. All the salespeople who are listening this podcast, they will tell you that yes, there are customers who actually sometimes reject your brand, your product, your service, and sometimes they reject you also.
Right.
For one reason or another. I'm not just telling
Okay.
you who is right or who is wrong.
Of course.
But this is the rejection the salespeople face. So, in categorizing between marketing and sales, I always believe salespeople are really more brave.
Okay.
Because they face the rejection on their face, and then they have to regroup themselves, okay, rebuild the energy, come back again, maybe to the same customer or to a different customer with a completely different, fresh mindset. So, if you want to transit by any means, if you are planning to move from marketing to sales, you need to be brave.
Right. Uh, Despite the fact that I was playing team marketing, I'll have to agree to what you just said.
Thank you
And
so
I think
much.
this will become the highlight of the podcast as well. Thank you very much, Junaid, for joining us on Behind Marketing Lines. And we look forward to hosting you again sometime.
Thank you so much, Ishan, for inviting me. Interesting chat, I think so. And
It was.
everything was quite part of my experience. I again put a disclaimer, it might work for some people, it might not work for some people, but this is what it is.
Now, it worked for you. I'm pretty sure that it will work for a lot of people out there. Well, thank you very much for tuning in to Behind Marketing Lines, and I'll see you in the next episode.